When you visit a restaurant, chances are that you may observe two sets of customers. When the waiter brings the menu card, some start studying the menu very deeply and go through all the pages before making up their mind. Some may quickly browse through the bulky menu and will keep it aside and ask the waiter what is his best recommendation. Or another example of someone with a remote in the hand flips through the list of films on Netflix but is unable to decide on any one choice, while someone else waits till his or her preferred choice has been loaded onto the channel and clicks on his favorite movie. Or a third example of reading a book. While one may start reading from cover to cover, someone else will read the preface, first few pages, then the last few pages, and then make up his mind. In my several projects with smallholder farmers, I have observed two different behavior patterns. Whenever a new equipment, a new seed, or a new nutrient is introduced, he or she will ask several questions, will carry out a lot of research, fact-finding before coming to any one decision, while someone else will largely go by word-of-mouth publicity and accept it faithfully. I find one major difference in these two types of contrasting examples, if you will. These are emotional commitment to accept the choice after deliberate evaluation on the one hand, and habit and avoidance of discomfort of selecting from too many choices, which is often termed as choice overload by behavior economists. In this presentation, I will share my insights of entrepreneurship across sectors and propose a hybrid model of choice architecture. My study and projects for past several years have focused on entrepreneurs and their decision making across geographies and domains. In analyzing their motivations and behavior, I have come to the conclusion that the above mentioned binary description of people falling in two different and distinct categories does not hold good. In fact, successful entrepreneurs combine both these mindsets of being very analytical and at the same time very impatient. The eminent behavior economist and psychologist Dr. Sheena Iyengar has quoted in one of her interviews, and I quote, "According to IBM, 2.5 quintillion bytes of information are generated every day. Did you know that it is estimated that 28% of our time is spent on social media? We check our phones 150 times per day, and the amount of information we consume per day is equivalent to reading 174 newspapers. We are constantly collecting data and data and data. We see data as the answer provider. Data unto itself does not help us. It could actually overwhelm and distract us. You have to ask yourself first what the question is that you want to ask. Then see if you have the data that could help answer it." Quote complete. So, while it is true that we constantly are flooded with all kinds of information, a good entrepreneur develops the ability to quickly sift through the data and pick up what is relevant to his or her needs. He is not averse to the overload, and this is important. He is not averse to the overload, and at the same time, he is able to reflect upon the useful elements picked up from the data. This happens mainly because of his ability to be receptive and open to absorbing new experiences and self-efficacy. Being self-efficacious, he has his own mind to decide and has the confidence and ability to exert control over the choices to be made. Of course, In this complex psychological process, the role of intuition cannot be underestimated. Going through the information overload, the entrepreneur asks few questions. What is relevant for me? What do I do with this information? And how this will help me in my enterprise? On the information overload highway, if I have to use that metaphor of a highway, the entrepreneur is akin to running on a treadmill which never stops, or trying to set correct course of a ship in a choppy, stormy sea. In this process, he has to make prioritization and decide on the choices very quickly. This is prioritization, which is what one of the main key result areas of an entrepreneur. First, he eliminates the choices that are trivial, have no real impact on the path forward. Secondly, he will make no-brainer choices. Thirdly, he will delegate low-impact choices to someone who is capable, while not consuming the organization's time needed for critical choices. Lastly, he will begin the task of deciding who should make the remaining important choices. Interestingly, by the third time the trivial, no-brainer and low-impact choices are made, the list of choices that need to be made is much shorter and manageable. Therefore, deciding who should make the remaining choices is much easier. When deciding who makes the remaining choices, care should be given to ensure that different perspectives and views are adequately and fairly represented. Obviously, assigning 4 people who all share the same view never helps in the decision-making process. We all know the pitfalls of groupthink. Once the correct people have been selected, identified, then the entrepreneur's role is reduced to managing timelines, participating in the establishment of criteria, and assuring closure to be reached very quickly, and implementation of the choices when choices are made and completed. I have also seen that a strong entrepreneur has the non-cognitive gift of decluttering the vast spread of information that is constantly presented to him. This is done using what I term as vertical and horizontal scanning. This is a unique ability to go deep, just as a miner has to go into the mine, and like a drone which has the ability to scan the horizon and zero in using the longitude and latitude on what is needed to further the business. In many successful entrepreneurs, I have seen what I call the ability to reset or reboot. When things are not yielding the desired results, they are quickly able to change and make the mid-course correction, or even use the Alt, Control and Delete button. Thus, the flexibility to have an open mind helps him or her to be free from what is generally called as decision fatigue. To conclude, my experience of studying many entrepreneurs and their approach towards business has convinced me that they develop a hybrid style that welcomes the choice overload and at the same time have the ability not to get swamped by it, but pick up what is relevant for furtherance of their business. They are able to study the menu at the restaurant intently and also able to decide what they should order for them and for others, in addition to guide the chef what improvisation he can make to make the dish tastier and palatable. Thank you very much.